Gentlemen, it is time for an official segment that I like to call Bill's Day Off. It's going to be a short one. There's not much to talk about. The good news here is it was a way more relaxing day that I really appreciated. I didn't have to run around and do too many errands. I only had to do one or two very basic things, nothing too crazy. I didn't have anyone who was coming to my house to do errands or pick up trash or do any kinds of installations. I wasn't building furniture. I didn't have any appointments. Basically, I did have to do a couple quick things. For example, I had to grocery shop. I had to go to the pet store. But outside of the very basics, it was a pretty relaxed day. And it was funny because my wife was just kind of randomly looking for another game to play. And she's looking all around, and she just happened to jump on Game Pass. And there was a game that I thought it was ringing a bell, but I know I haven't played it before. It's called Road 96. Okay? So I swear at one point you guys had asked me to play this game or check it out. And I even think that I might have played like the demo of this game at one point, but I know I haven't done a playthrough of it. So my wife's looking at it, and it's basically supposed to be a game about like being like traveling and trying to, it's really weird because when you look at the game, it doesn't explain what it really is. Okay. What is Road 96? It is a first person adventure game. And what you're doing is you are trying to escape the country. Now it's a imaginary country. The country doesn't exist, but the game takes place in the 1990s. You're supposed to be a teenager who's trying to escape the country. As you start to play the game, you realize it's very much political. Like, holy crap, is it political? All right. It's got all these political overtones that tie into modern American politics. They're trying to say that there is a president in power that basically is a dictator, but he's all for fossil fuels and controlling the populace and all kinds of stuff. It's like, yeah, gee, I wonder who they're trying to allude to here, right? And then there's supposed to be a presidential candidate running against him who basically is like very liberal and wants the world to go green and wants freedom for everyone. Gee, I wonder what they're getting at there, right? So during the course of the game, you start off trying to basically escape this country by getting to the border. You want to leave the country. That's the premise of the game. You're trying to escape the country. Okay? Last time I checked, everyone's trying to rush our country and join, not leave. But anyway, I mean, I don't think we would really complain if people left. It's the opposite problem that we have here. As this teenager, you basically go through these different stops on this road trip, and you're hitchhiking, or you're taking a bus, or you're taking a cab, and there's all these different people. You run into criminals like who are robbing stores. You run into like a celebrity news anchor who's like driving around the country covering this election. You run into just normal people here or there. You run into other kind of runaways who are also trying to escape. And each character is kind of unique. I think there's 6 or 7 of them, and they all have their own unique stories. And basically the entire game is just a mini game. Like that's every single time that you run into one of these characters, you'll have dialogue choices that actually change the course of the game. You'll be able to lean towards, hey, do I like the current person in political power? Or am I trying to make it so this other person wins the election? You get to determine, do you want to help these people who are kind of like terrorists, or do you just not want to do that because you don't like violence? It's really weird, but interesting. Like, it's super unique, but man, does it try to push like liberal politics down your throat as you're playing through this game. Okay. I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't played it, but it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, some of the choices are non-choices and they force you to go in one way, even if you don't want to. So anyway, it was funny because she started playing this game, and at first we're both watching it and we're just laughing our asses off. We're like, this is so ridiculous. You could tell the people who made the game are so one-sided politically. So why make a game with the element of choice if they're going to make it sound like if you make one choice, it's wrong and one choice is right? It's just kind of silly. But as you play, you kind of get hooked because the premise is you play as one teenager and you're trying to escape. So you go through this whole like hour and a half gameplay, interacting with each of the 6 or 7 characters. At any point, you can mess up and you can get arrested, and then your game's over, or you can die and your game's over. There's 2 ways to fail. Eventually, you're going to get to the border crossing, and you have to find a way to illegally cross the border into another country. Yes, I'm not kidding you. You win the game by illegally performing a border crossing into another country. That's the objective of the game. Once that's done, whether you succeed or you fail, you start the game over as another teenager and you do it all again, but now the plot changes because it actually has advanced time. So those characters who you started interacting with the first teenager now have their plots advancing, and you'll run into them at various different points of the game. So maybe the news anchor who you ran into reporting a story earlier now is just driving around in her stretch limo, and she happens to pick you up because you're a hitchhiker and you have an interaction. Or maybe the person who earlier was having like an existential crisis about their existence, now you find out that they actually are part of a former terrorist group, and they're having like moral feelings that what they did was wrong all along, and they never should have been a part of this group. Okay, so it's really wild and unique. This story is quite good, in my opinion. But you just have to be able to stomach a game that 100% is leaning towards liberal politics and accept that they just think that's the right way no matter what. So my wife did several runs. She did like 3 or 4 runs, and each one the game got wilder and wilder, and then we kind of ran out of time. So it was good. It was like a relaxing day playing this silly game on Game Pass. It was pretty fun. What do we have for dinner? Oh, we have Mexican food. We ordered Mexican food. I had these giant fajita quesadillas full of grilled veggies and chicken, and my wife had some enchiladas with mole sauce, and pretty good dinner. So it was a pretty relaxing day overall. Nothing too crazy to talk about in that regard, but a pretty good day overall and a good day to relax and unwind. This week is a 6-day streaming week for me, but next week I'm going to have an additional day off. We actually have a couple appointments that we lined up for a day during the week, and we said, well, here's what we'll do. The day with the appointments, we'll go to the appointments, but the rest of the day will be for us. And then the Saturday will be the normal day off where I run errands like grocery shopping and stuff like that. So that way we get some time together. All right. So this week is a normal 6-day streaming week, but next week there'll be some extra time off, and I'll let you know the days and dates and everything, when we know. Fair enough? Okay. That was Phil's day off. Not super exciting this week, right? I didn't think it would be. But there you have it. So now, what is going down for the rest of this week? Let's talk, okay? So today, we're returning to Stalker 2. And last time around, Stalker 2 was quite wild. If you remember, we interacted with this